Welcome to another episode of the Boba Joe Show. If you got something to say, speak into the microphone. What you talking about, Mean Gene?
Mean Gene. Scheme Gene. Everybody's keeping well.
Yep, welcome to a brand new year.
First, we're beginning to start a new tradition here today on the show, Johnny. Is that right?
Yeah. What's that? What's the new tradition?
It's the new
I
tradition.
didn't do it. You can't put me away in prison. I'm innocent.
It's a new event we're about to cover, a new wrestling event, and we're going to
cover
first ever.
First ever. There'll be many more years to come, covering every sequel and whatever to the what's it called again? The Wrestling Classic, which is presented in WrestleVision. So put on your WrestleVision glasses at home, or if you've got your WrestleVision earbuds, put those in there. I've got a little Bluey mate here. He's got his WrestleVision special glasses on.
Yeah. WrestleVision, way better than Spooky Vision.
Definitely a lot better than Smell-O-Vision, because that involved actual smells in cinemas.
Yeah, there's definitely a few matches on this event that I'm glad Smell-O-Vision was not turned on for.
Yeah, I mean, some of the matches stink it up in a metaphorical sense, and some of them probably they stink in the literal sense. But yeah, so we're referring to here, the Wrestling Classic here was a pay-per-view that followed up after WrestleMania. And between WrestleMania 1 and WrestleMania 2, we had this other pay-per-view before we got to other ones like, Royal Rumble and SummerSlam and all that. So this is kind of like experimental. They're like the success of WrestleMania, which we know, of course, was famously a big gamble of Vince kind of like, gambled a fair amount of money on if it didn't work out, could have been in big trouble financially. But in the end credits here, before we get to the matches, we have listed here the first annual Wrestling Classic, a production of WrestleVision. So they've got this branding of Wrestle Classic and WrestleVision. So it was meant to be another ongoing thing. Presumably, maybe a year later, we might have got another one. But the branding of it and the style of it didn't go down too well. And it was the first and last Wrestling Classic. So we're no more.
So yeah, the tradition has ended already.
It's ended.
Today's show.
Hulk is very happy about it. That little picture there. He's like, "Oh, I'm so happy about it."
I'm so tired. I need to go to sleep. Poor Hulk.
But yeah,
still, it's a historic event here.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's also another sort of time where we've still got, Mean Gene, we've got Bobby the Brain, we've got Macho, we've got JYD here, I've chucked in the thumbnail. We've got this awesome car that's apparently up for grabs, so stay tuned. You might be the lucky winner of this classic car, which they seem to tie into the just the name, I guess, the Wrestling Classic. Let's have a classic car in there. But whether it's a real competition, I have no idea if it's a work, if anyone ever got that car. I'm sure some like Cultaholic Wrestling or something on YouTube, one of those big super channels that knows like everything about everything, probably knows. But I have no idea if anyone got this car, or was it one of just Vince's sidecars from his estate and let's take some pictures and pretend we're giving it away to a mark in the audience. I've got no idea.
Yeah, I'm a little suspicious myself. When I was rewatching this event on the WWE Network, which will be the last event I ever watch on the WWE Network now that my
Feel quite bad about that and guilty now because it's all going to Netflix. I mean, it's on Netflix right now if anyone wants to watch the wrestling. Not trying to fucking advertise for the biggest thing ever.
Yeah, they sent me the email. This is your final reminder. We will not be.
Yeah, fuck you. Double bird flips, Mark. Buy, sign Vince McMahon. That's pretty much what it said.
And as another friend of mine was saying to me, would they not have at least say, thanks for your, you being a customer for all these years.
Thanks for giving us all your money. Fuck off.
It's just like, no, fuck off. Your subscription is over and it won't be renewed by Netflix.
At least they sent you something. In Australia, the wrestling played on Foxtel and on Binge, so on two different I mean, Foxtel is like an aggregate, like your cable TV. It's a package of, you get an actual set-top box. It's basically like your HBO cable stuff from the 90s in Australia. That's been the longest running pay TV thing here. Whereas Binge is just an app you can get on whatever computer, phone. And that wrestling was on both those things. I've been watching it on Binge for the last year and a half. And I read online, the Binge told us nothing. They didn't even tell us it's going away, but it was in the news, of course, going on about, pop culture news, not the real fucking world news, about the wrestling going to Netflix. And they told us nothing. So good customer service there, Binge. Fuck you with a crooked broom. Actually, double fuck you with a crooked broom. For taking my money. Stupid app stopped working in November, 2 months before the thing was supposed to end. The app was not supposed to stop working because it's a big network. It's got, it's got bloody Taskmaster and lots of British comedies and other shit on it. It's got all sorts of stuff on there other than wrestling. And it stopped working. I could get on the computer, but the tablet one that I actually watched it on my bedroom, I reinstalled it multiple times, just stopped working like 2 months ago, but they kept charging me. And then in December, I thought, I'll watch a few more things before it's gone. No, they started pulling stuff off the first week of December off the Binge, like as in they're taking the video files off of their streaming library. Whereas on Foxtel, it was there until the very last day of December. I know because I was at someone's house this week and literally watching it the day before, and it was the promo going on about now we're having this big Netflix event, and I saw it had CM Punk and Drew McIntyre at some media press thing going on about how it's all going to Netflix. So yeah, that was pretty shitty.
Yeah, it's the end of an era for me, and I will miss the WWE Network. Though, as I was kind of mulling over just before I got distracted by all these network shenanigans, but yeah, the Rolls Royce, the competition. I'm skeptical if there was a real winner. I'm pretty sure that when they show the kind of the footage of the Rolls Royce that's up for grabs, I'm pretty sure that's the same outdoor footage they use for some of the the $1 Million Man.
Yeah, the $1 Million Man.
Things
Yeah.
and they even use the same car. I'm pretty sure even on our own, when we looked at WrestleMania 4, we might have even watched some of that footage with Ted DiBiase. So I wonder, was it just like Vince McMahon's private Rolls Royce and they were just like pretending to give it away? Who knows?
I wouldn't be surprised. Or if they did actually give it away, it's like the one that's got all the miles on it from doing those promos. And now, like, we'll get rid of this. I'm getting a brand new one.
I do know that they really did give a house away for the first ever In Your House pay-per-view.
Really?
And a
I
child
never liked
actually won that.
The logos on the In Your House. They always felt like very play school looking kids, all the colors of that. I was like, what the hell is this about?
Yeah, well,
plus, it had a really bad video game, so that's something I associated with.
Well, a child did win the house competition, so
a child won it.
Yeah.
So there's some child out there just living alone in the house, but probably an adult now, 20.
Yeah,
25
well,
years
apparently, I think as the story goes, the parents of the child sold said house once they were legally able to do so. Probably used it to pay off a lot of bills. So good for them.
I can only imagine if I won that Rolls Royce, that the first thing I'd do would be sell it. Not that it's not a beautiful car, but I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do with it? Is it going to sit out here and rust and go to shit in the Australian sun weather, or would, like, no, sell it and use the money for something else?
Yeah, it would probably, it would just, if I were to win that Rolls Royce today, it would just become another expense that I'd have to
it would.
after.
It'd be like, what tax do you guys have over there? Does it have a particular name for your region?
Yeah, there'd be like the road tax and then your car insurance you'd have to pay as well. But I think then I'd probably have to pay some type of specialized vintage insurance on top of that because of the fact it's a classic car.
Yeah.
So
because it wouldn't have modern safety features.
Trying to even find parts and stuff like that to maintain it, I'd say it would be a pain in the arse. So yeah,
you'd have to travel over to one of Vince's the states and find the other spare ones to get some parts.
Yeah, they probably still have a few bits and pieces sitting around the triple car garage there in Stamford, Connecticut, or wherever he used to live.
Yeah. Yeah,
What am I
hopefully
saying?
Repo Man didn't get into it.
As if Vince McMahon would ever actually keep spare parts around his house. What am I thinking? He just buy a new car as soon as something
Buy a
went
car,
wrong.
buy a car dealership,
Yeah.
buy a football league.
Oh, one of the headlights is gone. Better buy a new one, you know?
But yeah, one of the things I like about this event, I mean, it's a bit of a dud event, but it's certainly a star-studded dud event. Both for the talent on show with, you know, the likes of JYD and Macho Man and Tito Santana and whatnot, but also in the commentaries, we got some of our classic commentary dudes. And hosting duties here, we've got Vince in his full, I don't know, penguin tuxedo bow tie mode, where's the straight man, and we've got Lord Alfred Hayes. I forget the name of the guest blonde lady they have on, but I feel bad for her because a few times Alfred just kind of like gropes her on camera in a very
Yes.
Trump sort of way, and it's pretty gross.
And multiple times throughout the broadcast, they'll require her to bend down and point to brackets that are low on the
Yeah,
ground, which is
very very high tech board they have here for their tournament whatever bracket thing.
yeah, it's like she's just being harassed or just like
Yeah.
continuously pointing at things and getting her to do stuff. Oh, tunnel vision.
Yeah, this was the early idea. They thought they were going with Tunny Vision, but they did eventually go with Wrestle Vision, probably wisely so. But yeah, Jack Tunney makes a few appearances in the old wrestling classic from old Canada,
Yes, there's going
and
to
we get
be
some other classics here. The Fink, and we got Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse Ventura on commentary, which makes it very enjoyable to listen to. Even if you're watching the matches, go, I'm not really into this. You can close your eyes and listen to these guys on commentary all day. That's fantastic.
like as Johnny was saying, it's
And Tony Schiavone's
scrub
in there for a little bit too, or Tony
Tony
Schiavone.
Schiavone.
Yeah,
Yeah, it may be lacking at times and somewhat for the in-ring stuff, but we've got enough star power and personality to kind of
yeah.
pull us
Jimmy Hart's
through.
there.
And Jimmy Hart's there, Gorilla Monsoon, Jesse Ventura's here, got the Fink doing the announcing. We also get to see that they kind of do a nice little video package of the various wrestlers pulling their numbers from a hat to see who they get matched up
Yeah,
with in the tournament, which is always a nice touch. I do enjoy a good tournament in my professional wrestling.
yeah, and they
I
did
even
it.
enjoy a bad tournament.
And they do it straight here. I mean, like the wrestlers are doing their gimmicks, but if I watch something in the kind of early 2000s era, there'd be like Kurt Angle in a cowboy hat, or Austin and Bischoff making all like their redneck tournament and weird gags and strange like 10-year-old boy sexy humor and stuff that's very Vince and all that. There's none of that weird shit. It's just like a straight tournament and everyone's the normal characters.
Yes, and just kind of like some of the other early or 80s WWF events we've covered, we're going to get a lot of matches and we're also going to get a lot of short, unmemorable matches.
Yeah, a lot of squash matches in this tournament.
Yeah, glorified squashes, and even if you were to look at the matches on paper and look at like a results sheet for the event, there's actually probably a couple of dream matches that kind of occur on this
Yeah, yeah.
event, even though they only last a few minutes. So it's like they tease you for a couple of minutes with something you've always dreamt of, and then they just take it
It,
away.
it,
But we'll get to
it
that
does make
later.
me wonder if, like, if it had been more successful when they did one the following year, would they have had longer matches, or would they have kept the short, abbreviated tournament ones, or would they, if they had a chance to, would they have improved upon it? I wonder.
If I were to guess, I would say that what we ended up getting with King of the Ring would probably have been what happened
Yeah,
with
that would
the
make
Wrestling
sense. Yeah,
Classic. They'd give you a real kind of prize to win at the end that maybe meant something, like maybe you'd get a title shot later on, or something big would happen. It would become maybe a yearly event,
I might
which is
watch first two
they
King of the
obviously
Rings
intended.
tomorrow. I think so. I've got them saved
Yeah, yeah,
offline. I know Jerry Lawler's particularly featured heavily in the first couple.
yeah. 93 and 94 King of the Rings are great
Mm.
fun to watch. I do love them dearly. But back to the 80s here, and we got Adrian Adonis going up with Sergeant Slaughter knockoff Corporal Kirshner. You know, we've got our own Sergeant Slaughter at home. That's Corporal Kirshner.
At least he's
And
better
it's
than the bloody fake Diesel and fake Razor. It's better than them. Not as a wrestler, but as a character.
like Adrian Adonis here, he's starting, like he's coming out and being announced as adorable Adrian Adonis, but he
Yeah.
still hasn't started doing the full-on drag gimmick yet.
Yeah.
Like when we
It
first
looks like he's Brian
Adrian.
Adams there. Like I'm not the wrestler Brian, I mean
Yeah.
the musician Brian, like the hair and the jacket.
He looks good. He looks pretty good,
Yeah.
I gotta say. But he dispatches of poor Corporal Kirshner in fairly quick fashion here. The Corporal just doesn't have the cojones to last with adorable Adrian here in the ring. So
I love
yeah,
Jimmy Hart's Tiger Stripe jacket, man.
Yeah, Jimmy's looking brilliant here, managing Adrian, and we're going to see him, of course, again throughout the night as Adrian progresses here. But yeah, per Kirsch, he gets to do the JOB here in the opening match. We should probably note as well, everybody, we all talked about the first WrestleMania, and it was a big deal, but is this the first actual full pay-per-view event the World Wrestling Federation
Oh
ever did?
yes. I forgot. I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah, because you're going to, what do you call it, pay-per-view and cable, whereas we had the closed circuit thing with WrestleMania.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. WrestleMania, that first WrestleMania was pretty much mostly closed circuit. There might have been a very small pay-per-view footprint for it, but nothing spectacular. Whereas here we've got our full-on pay-per-view experience here that the World
It's probably
Wrestling
the first
Federation
model
are
really for
experimenting
the
with.
not the wrestling, but for what they did going forward for the pay-per-view model was probably pretty much what they carried over to all their other annual events, where they learned their lessons with some of the subsequent WrestleManias, trying to do too many cities and simulcasting and technical issues. It's like, no, pick your one city, get it on the cable and pay-per-view, and that's what gets the dollars.
I was getting real, WrestleMania 1 vibes off this event because of the way it was paced and how, there was these little, there'd be little production gaps now and again.
Yeah.
Like in the first couple of WrestleManias, stuff that they'd iron out later on as the years went on. They'd become really slick and smooth, but back then they were still kind of finding their feet when it came to
I don't mind the low tech
stuff, right?
stuff. Like it does feel a bit basic when they're pointing to the board of the tournament bracket, but I don't mind it being a physical board as opposed to a graphical overlay, which would get now, whether it was UFC or wrestling. Of course, you flash away and you show tournament brackets, and the heads might slide around for who won. But if you're shooting as a practical thing, put it in the center of the fucking screen. The way they framed it is the main thing I have an issue with, because it's always off to the side at an angle, and they're standing in front of it like Vince and Lord Alfred Hayes, so they can see it. But it's for us, the audience, it's at a weird angle. If they just framed it better and stood slightly off to the side, it would look a lot better.
Plus, you have these like long sticks for pointing at the names. Why do you have it so low down onto the ground? Why don't you have it raised so you can just point to the stuff? But
so it's that kind of stuff like that irritates me, and I don't mind low budget practical effects because we both like things like Predator and Alien and model making and things. I wouldn't give a shit if everyone would hate it, but if the wrestling now had an actual physical board with just make it look nice, make it look fucking pretty with some glam dots and borders and be jewel and be dazzle, that fucking thing.
Yeah, there's a few just little production gaps throughout. Like I think at one point Vince he wants to like introduce the next match, but instead they roll footage for like the competition. So there's a few times where they get like mixed up as to what's coming next and what segment.
Which makes it more fun to watch because you have a bit of a laugh when you see stuff like that now. Like, and here we go. And it reminds me of like watching David Letterman. It's like, and here's the next guest, and it shows like a monkey smoking a cigarette or something.
Plus, especially knowing the type of perfectionist that Vince would turn out to be.
Yeah.
Anytime I
Oh,
see
that
him,
makes it even better. He'd be like pulling his
yeah,
hair out in between.
I love it. I
Be
love it.
stewing in his own juices.
We get a nice little. You could call it a match. It's more like an angle
This
disguised
this
as a
is like
match
a
here.
literal squash match because he leaps off Frogman, squashes him, Eddie Guerrero style.
It's pretty funny. So basically, Nikolai Volkov, as always, he insists on singing the Russian national anthem. So he begins serenading the audience with his rendition of the national anthem. Of course, they fucking hate it and boo him because
Yeah,
he's a dirty red, and we just don't like them at
I
all
love
here.
it.
So, but as soon as he finishes singing, he turns around only to be met by a admittedly beautiful top rope drop kick from Dynamite Kid.
Oh, that's
Um,
gorgeous.
nails him right in the chest with it, and he pins him 1, 2, 3. So literally, as soon as the bell is rung, the match is over, more or less. Yeah, what would you say? Probably like 20, 30 seconds. It's really quick, the whole
Yeah, like
ordeal.
the climbing on the top of the rope and the drop or double drop kick part was like probably 10 seconds, but from beginning to end, yeah, it's about like 30 seconds. It's crazy. It's just you blink and you miss it, and you're like, what? And I literally was out of the room and I had to come back and rewind it when I was watching it.
Pretty nice seeing here on this show Dynamite Kid, where he's still like the old Dynamite Kid. His body hasn't
Yeah,
broken
he looks
down, so
fit
he's
as
still able to,
hell and strong and handsome and athletic.
yeah, roided to the gills, of course. But
Right, yeah, he's roided up, but
they,
his heart hasn't exploded. His brain's still in
yeah,
the skull, so yeah, he's looking pretty good.
and he may be crazy, but he hasn't gone like totally like crazy.
Yeah,
Pull the shotgun to your wife's head and crazy yet.
no,
Like that, he will. He hasn't gone down the full evil path just yet as Dynamite. But yeah, he makes short work of Nikolai Volkov. Nikolai goes mental after the match as well, like trying to grab the referee and trying to get him to reverse the decision because he
yeah.
thinks he's been cheated out of the match. But it's too late. Dynamite Kid wins and progresses through the tournament.
I do like when he does this big climbing off the ropes sort of double drop kick business. It's it doesn't look like a regular wrestling drop kick. It's more like a parkour move. Like, I mean that in a complimentary way. He's like so athletic in that like Eddie Guerrero Frogman splash where his whole body just like leaps like gigantic fucking distance from a standing start. So he's just like so dynamic and so athletic, and it's like awesome dude.
Yeah, and a thing of beauty to watch him work.
Yeah. Despite being a squash
Especially
match,
before.
at least it's an interesting way he takes it out. He does not. At least
Yeah,
it's not a Yokozuna just like sit on you till you can't move. Squash match.
and I suppose with some of these quick matches in the beginning, at least the reason they are quick is so we can get slightly longer matches with these same people later
Yeah,
on. Like, so we are going to
like
get
that.
to see Dynamite later on the show doing some good stuff.
Like if this was like a modern event, you would have a longer running time and be able to have longer matches instead of so many squash matches. That feels like part of the tension of it. So the next match we get is Macho Man, the old main man who's always hanging out on my desk over here, and then he's over here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah! I've actually got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got about 6 Macho Men on my desk at the moment. I just got them all
Raining
out for
Macho
Macho
Man
display.
in Australia.
Yeah, it's raining Macho Man. The only non-Macho Man, I've got the Mean Gene out, and I've got hiding behind them because he's been on my desk for ages is this fellow over here. And he's just hanging in the back, like just egging him on, going, come on, Macho, get on it. Get on there, Macho, get on.
Jump. We definitely have to get round to eventually hitting the Rocky series on the Boba Joe show.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, in my lounge room, I got the Blu-ray set, numbers 1 through 6. I've got the first Creed on Blu-ray. I think I bought the second Creed on Blu-ray. It's one that's probably out the back in the box, and I can't remember. And if I can't remember, and it's too much effort to go and dig it out, and it's $5 on eBay. I'm just like, fuck, I'll buy a second one. I don't care. Versus the risk of not having it. But yeah, absolutely, we'll be getting into some Rocky and shit this year.
Save yourself the hassle, just like Macho Man saves himself.
Well, when we did our RoboCop episode, I bought another RoboCop on Blu-ray because I couldn't find my other one. So I've got RoboCop 1 on Blu-ray, and then I've got another Blu-ray. It's got RoboCop 1, 2, and 3 in the same package. And now they're both on the same shelf. I think it was like 2 steps away from where I'm sitting right now, but I couldn't find it at the time.
You need to spread it throughout the house in case of an emergency.
You got to have a fresh one, man. Well, I used to go to my mate's house, Sam and Frankston, for years and years back when I lived in the state of Victoria. And he had a big cupboard that he had like his bedroom, and then he had like what would be a bedroom, but it's a spare room used as this like sit down TV lounge kind of area. And he had a big closet you'd use for clothes. It was all just DVDs, most of which was wrestling. And sometimes they'd go and they had all kinds of movies, and he'd have like doubles of stuff, and some had shrink wrap on them. Be like, oh, I've just got to get a fresh one out. I've just got to take the shrink wrap off and break open a fresh one. Guess they're over.
We got the Macho Man Randy Savage here. He's going to be taking on the Polish Hammer Ivan Putski, and
I love those gold robes he wears out.
Yeah, he looked great. He looked great, and of course, as always, by his side, the lovely Miss Elizabeth, looking very dapper.
And she gets a few good costume changes too, along with Macho. Macho like Flair, he spent so much on outfits and has so many different fucking outfits and stuff he wears to different events. But we got to see Liz in a few different nice outfits on this event too, as we'll see in subsequent matches.
Yeah, Ivan Putski, he just he don't got the goods to get the job done against Macho Man here. So the father of
I'll tell you what, I have to say a
special
thank you to Macho Man, because I did a special on him a couple months back at one of my Monday lives, and I played a little clip, like a 2-minute clip from a Best of Macho Man DVD. It was like a promo beside the pool, and it got blocked in like third world territories where they don't have the license to play the network or whatever. But I could upload it on YouTube fine. And because I got blocked on the live stream and it actually just went blank, I had to re-edit and re-upload it. I uploaded the video as a separate clip just so anyone could watch the rest of the fucking promo, because I got so annoyed. So at least people could watch the fucking promo, because it's not one you see a lot outside of being on DVDs. And then that video of that promo was my most popular video of the year that got like 1,500 views. So thanks for making my watch times go up on unofficial pirated material.
Macho Man still draws viewers even to this day.
I just love the clip so much. It made me laugh several times when I was watching it. I said, I've got to play that clip.
Of course, we're in full-on heel Macho Man mode here, so shortcuts will be taken, and we can see here in one of the bottom frames, he's actually has his feet on the rope for extra leverage to pin Ivan Putski. What a dastardly deed he's performing here to win the match. But you know, it's all about winning, and you got to do what you got to do to progress through the tournament. If you're going to win,
those little like bandage wraps on the fingers too, and I wonder if he got that from Flair or where he got that from, because there's not that many people do those little wraps like that.
Yeah, it's I never know, is it like a personal preference? Is it something to do with like gripping? I'm not sporty or athletic in any way, so I can't tell you.
Oh, if you have an actual injury, you tape your finger and stuff, whether you're doing weightlifting or other stuff. But Ric Flair wore them a whole lot, you know, like almost like a stylistic thing like that often. I mean, even on this like one where he fought the Warriors, see, like he's got him on the hands on that one.
Yes. An interesting choice of hand attire for the Macho Man.
I might be wrapping my hands up next month. Going to go back to the gym. I'm going to start doing deadlifts and stuff again, get some conditioning going. One fun thing about deadlifting is you get big calluses right through your hands because it crushes all your tissue in there, and you get big bloody calluses.
You'll be doing the curls like a tough man.
Curls for the girls.
Curls for the girls. Yeah, Savage, he uses his dastardly deeds and distractions to slip one over Ivan Putski here and advance through the tournament, the prestigious first ever Wrestling Classic tournament.
Yeah, and Macho, we'll be seeing him again later because he wins this match and goes on to some other ones, and there's some commentary on one of the later matches too from Ventura where he gets quite angry that like someone else who gets a pass or bye in the match doesn't do as many matches, and he's like, "Oh, he didn't do as many matches. He shouldn't be there." Makes for some good, good commentary. So next match we get Ricky Steamboat defeated David Boy Smith by forfeit, and unfortunately he did unleash his tickling defense. Davey there laughing his head off after he got tickled almost to death by the look of it.
Yeah, it's this is one of those matches that if you were just to look at this written on paper, you'd be like, oh my god, the British Bulldog versus Ricky Steamboat. This is going to be a 5-star banger, epic match.
It should have been. Unfortunately.
But the truth is, yeah, it goes about maybe 2-3 minutes, and yeah, it has one of the weirdest endings you'll ever see to a match. Steamboat is hanging in the ropes, and Davey Boy goes to do like some type of move on him, but Steamboat moves and Davey goes dick first into the rope, and it kind of TKOs him. He gets knocked out by a shot to the dick. The rope on dick contact is enough to the referee just steps right in there, like, oh my god, this guy just got a rope right to his dick.
I think that's
the match immediately.
Chinese internal arts of Denmark is like the secret dick punch, like out like the kidney punch in boxing.
But yes, we can see from Davey Boy's expression that he's rolling around in maybe joyous agony. He's feeling sensations between his legs he hasn't felt in a long, long time.
It's just funny how much the pained expression of like you've been absolutely smacked in the nether regions, or you're hysterically laughing, pretty much the same expression.
We're back in the era here as well of the referees just being like any fucking dude off the street, because this guy in his white shirt and jeans here.
Yeah, he's got the white shirt and jeans, some old fella. Some dude that got down at the retirement village.
Yeah, he knew an emergency when he saw one. As soon as he saw that rope connect with Davey Boy's groin, he was like, "That's it. This match is." Like,
I had one of those back in '56. We better get this guy some attention.
And look, if we thought Dynamite was looking swole earlier, Davey is beefed out of his mind here.
Yeah.
And Steamboat always looks great because he's just a phenomenal.
I might get into. I got that like best of Steamboat DVD thing recently. There's a couple of discs. I think there's like a basic doc over there and highlight matches, but I haven't watched that yet, so I might get into that one this week. But yeah, we got the old treat. Oh, for sure. It's an absolute classic. And we'll be seeing more of him in the next couple of months because we'll probably stop by some. I always mix up the name of the title. There's Clash of the Champions. Is like that Greek mythology movie. Then Contest of Champions, Clash. No, Contest of Champions is the Marvel thing. Whichever one is the WCW, the Sting and Flair and all that.
Yeah, Clash of the Champions is the WCW event.
Yeah, I always get it mixed up because you've got Contest of Champions was like an 80s Marvel thing along with Secret Wars, and then you've got that Greek like Harry Horse and stop motion movie and all that. And I always get they always get mixed together in my head. All the titles. Okay, so the next match we got JYD or the Junkyard Dog defeated the Iron Sheik. I just love seeing these two together on screen. Just two awesome classics. And this is a real contrast of, both are like really real popular. I mean, they're getting it obviously in the later stages of the career. Sheik's long past his peak, not physically, but in popularity past his peak. You could probably say the same with the JYD, not his fault because he was massively big in Mid-South and the WWF never really gave him the best run. And I mean, fuck them because he's an awesome, charismatic dude. I'd rather watch him than Hulk Hogan any fucking day because he's another guy like Hogan who does fairly basic moves, but he's got fantastic charisma, was well over with the Southern crowd and all that. And of course, the Sheik, his opposite is like a good actual wrestler, you know, who like coached like Olympic level athletes and did all kinds of stuff outside of being like a heel wrestling characters. So both of these dudes I would rather watch than Hulk Hogan. I consider to be much cooler, better human beings, and to me more important, interesting stars than the nonsense of Hogan.
Feet still look absolutely chiseled at this point
Yeah,
as well.
yeah. And
When
this
you
is when
see
he's on
Sheik,
drugs as well. It's
yeah,
pretty good.
but you can see he's just a thick dude. Like, you know, you can just tell he's super strong.
It's probably his
He
heaviest there, I guess.
at one point during this match, he actually has JYD. He's got him fully in the camel clutch, but then he
Yeah.
just he inexplicably kind of lets him loose because
Yeah, just
obviously
lets
he's
it
like,
go.
shit, he's not able to actually get out of this by himself, so I better actually let him out so he can
Yeah.
beat me.
Yeah, it's very noticeable. Yeah, I picked up a JYD figure a few weeks back. Real awesome one from the old I think it was Jack's Pacific. Had a beautiful face sculpt, and his back muscles looked rippling and awesome because the Mattel one was like just way skinny. But I just love JYD, man. He's such a charismatic son of a bitch.
Yeah, and look, like you were saying, the WWF, like he was featured, but obviously he wasn't like, you know, the tippy top like the way he
Yeah, it
was
wasn't like
in
headliner. I
Mid
mean, this
South.
is one of the few headlining events where, you know, he got featured quite heavily in this, but not, you know, it's like when you get any kind of guy that's come from the South and wherever, and Vince is like a big fucking claw machine that's just grabbed all the goddamn prizes, and he's got all these prizes, but he doesn't have enough space to actually, he doesn't know what the fuck he's going to do with them all. And only a couple of them are going to rise to the top, like Hogan and that, and be the big headliners and the merchandise and marketing to family friendly and the 10-year-olds and the coloring books and the Hulkamania t-shirts. He had too much talent and not really the way to use it all at this time. You know, $1 Million Man, JYD, Iron Sheik. So some of them are going to get wasted, not any fault of their own, because there's just too many upper level top talents and not enough space to showcase them all, really.
Well, this era in particular, it always felt like to me, it's like Hulk Hogan and his friends and Roddy Piper and his friends. Like that's how
Yeah.
Vince seems to position people. So
Yeah.
Hogan is like your top guy, main character, and everybody else is just like his buddies to be like supporting cast of
Yeah.
characters. And like Junkyard Dog, I think definitely kind of fell into that, along with like Tito Santana and other guys, where you even see it in the Hulk Hogan rock and wrestling cartoon. Like obviously you've got Hulk Hogan who's the main character of that, and then you see guys like JYD and Tito
Just
as
as
like his,
friends.
yeah, exactly, his
Yeah. Whereas
backup
like JYD
characters.
back in like mid South and Southern territories for a time, he was like the headlining guy. He was like had a massive African American audience as well as white guy people as well that watched it. And he was a massive headliner for a long time there. So it's like you come out of the big fish in the smaller pond, but Mid South wasn't a small, but it's still a big fucking audience and a lot of money. Gone onto this like cable and TV and whatnot. That audience isn't the same. It's more like the casual audience versus like the more kind of hardcore local audience.
I think as well at this point, JYD, it's probably safe to assume he was fond of the old extracurricular
Yeah,
substances, because the couple of the interviews, I think even the one he has after this match with the Sheik, you can tell he's just kind of like blah, 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 like bumbling his way through. He just kind of wants
yeah,
to get backstage and like chill the fuck out before his next match. He
yeah.
just doesn't want to talk to Mean Gene at all.
Yeah, they're both getting long in the tooth. I mean, not athletically in age or condition. If you look after yourself, you're doing fine. But as far as they've had a peak, and they haven't really gone beyond that because things have changed behind the scenes. All the Vince has bought out all the promotions and territories and all that, and this is the aftermath of that. Okay, so the next match we got Moondog Spot, who weird late night Bill, not his actual name, but I've got special permission to call him that, so don't give me shit for it. Moondog Spot defeated Terry Funk with Jimmy Hart by count out. So we've got some legends here. I mean, fucking Terry Funk, one of the Funk brothers, or the Funkster, Jimmy Hart, of course, and Moondog Spot, who's obviously been again part of the Southern Wrestling along with the other Moondog.
And Funker gives a great little interview with Jimmy Hart prior to this, where he's talking about how he's coming after everybody in the WWF, and he even wants a shot at Hogan, which he will end up actually getting on one of the I think it's like main event or Saturday night's main event. They end up having a match. This is one of those things where you're kind of scratching your head a bit reading the result. It's like Moondog beat Funk by count out, like, and then when you actually it's kind of it, like, I will probably say it again, and we've said it already, but like on paper you're kind of thinking, oh, we could have something meaty here to look at, but then it's
But this
over
is
in a
like
few
some kind of
minutes.
nonsense 90s hardcore match without the hardcore, where they're just fluffing about, running around everywhere.
Yeah, and it's a bit of a kind of a chaotic schmoz
Yeah, for
until
sure.
the
Yeah,
the
that's exactly
result
how Bret
is
Hart
read
would,
out.
or Pipe would call it, a schmoz.
And there's a little bit of confusion, I believe, at this point on the commentary as well, where they're like, "Oh, well, was there a winner to this match? Does either man advance and stuff?"
Yeah, because
Which
Funk
kind of
comes
goes to
out and
bad.
he's like, we could wrestle, but I don't want to wrestle you, and we could just like call it a draw or walk away or some bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, what? What?
But yeah, Funker, he's trying to be sneaky though, because if he gets Moondog's spot to walk down the aisle, he can just run back to the ring and beat the count, so he can
Yeah.
advance. But the plan doesn't work, and the tables are turned, and it's actually Moondog's spot who gets the win. I I I I I must say, I do forget sometimes, and if he's watching, I'll ask him to comment. But good old Bob Hansen of the Bob
Yep.
Squad, who sometimes watches our shows. I know that
Hello, Bob, if you're out there.
he defeated one of the Moondogs to win a championship in WXW when he was working for the Samoans, I believe. Was it Moondog Spot you defeated, Bob, or was it one of the other Moondogs like Rex or one of those guys? You'll have to let
Yeah,
us know in the
when I
comments
was
below.
watching this match, I was wondering if it is like a setup or follow up to something else, because I was like, yeah. And it's an interesting point for like Terry Funk too, because it's like he turns up sporadically in WWF. I mean, years later, we had the appearance with Mankind as Chainsaw Charlie in that match where they're throwing him with dumpsters in it, and he's getting older here, of course, and then we know him in the 90s, well, late 80s, 90s, doing all sorts of crazy over the top hardcore matches along with Mick Foley, just in like crazy style, torturing your body stuff. And you forget that at that point, that he was this amazing wrestler in the 70s. And there was a point where he was younger, more athletic, did more wrestling for all the crazy hardcore antics and over the top stuff. And just a really all around kick-ass wrestler.
Yeah, Funk, it's like he almost had like 3 or 4 separate careers, at least 3
Yeah.
anyway. Like
It's like different
he,
eras, or it's like if you're a special artist and he's like completely changed your style from one era to another.
from technician to crazy brawler to
Crazy stunt
hardcore.
man.
Yeah, but yeah, it was
Like even in his later years, when he was in his 50s, he'd been to doctors and specialists and had surgeries and stuff. He should have had, surgeries he didn't get, or for whatever reason, the doctor's like, "You'll never fucking walk again. You won't do this." And the next week, and he's fucking wrestling again.
yeah.
Crazy man in
He
his later years.
retired about 1,000,000 times as well, of
Yeah, he
course.
did. Retired a million times. Like Ric Flair style, retired so many fucking times. And I'm like, stop destroying your body, Terry, please. Like, please. So the next match, we got Tito Santana defeated the Magnificent Morocco. Mr. Fuji was in the corner there.
Yes, Tito getting a win over the original The Rock.
The
Don
Rock.
Morocco here. Yeah, typical good work you'd expect from these two guys. It's like though you're watching the match kind of on fast forward, because they're obviously just trying to get through their stuff
Yeah.
as quickly as possible to move on to the next round. Love classic Fuji promo here, where he's like really laying into Tito before the match as well, while The Rock looks like he's about to fall asleep in this shot that you got.
Whenever I
But
see Fuji in his full regalia with the suit and the bow tie and the hat, I'm like, man, I can't always think of like Odd Job and Bond. I'm sure he's going to take that hat off and it's going to raise the edge and it's just going to throw it and cut me, man. I forget the name of the guy who was in Bond, but he was a proper like judo sort of guy as well.
Yeah, he was a wrestler too, I believe.
Yeah,
Also.
yeah. So I mean, he was like proper dude, like stunts, judo, wrestling.
The ring during this event looks ancient as well. It's not your
Yeah.
typical WWF ring you get used to seeing later on. They don't even have the logos and the turnbuckles yet.
Yeah, that's true. But you do have the old red, white, blue American flag colors of the era.
Yeah, Tito, he gets the quick victory over Morocco here, and Tito, of course, one of the roster's workhorses of the time. You know, just a real good wrestler who can have a good match with pretty much anybody you put him in the ring with. So he's a valuable
I wouldn't
player
want to
for
mess with
sure.
either of his guys, man. I mean, look at them.
Yeah, well, Morocco looks like he'll just rip your arms off. Rip them right
He
out of your
does.
sockets.
He's like a gorilla. It's like pick you up,
Yeah,
tear one of your arms off, and then throw you to the other side of the street.
he's like the guy the mob sends round to like torture you and
Yeah,
get
yeah.
the money from
I
you
mean,
when you owe
look at him
money.
there with the shirt. He's doing like the Hulkamania shirt rip. He's like,
Yeah,
I'm so strong. I'm just busting out of the shirt like not like regular Hulk, like the Incredible Hulk. He's like, I see what he's Incredible Hulk busting out of there.
and he does have, now that when you say Incredible Hulk, he does have a bit of a Lou Ferrigno look about him as well.
Yeah,
On
he
Morocco.
does. That's what I think of it, just as looking in the shirt. And
Tito, though, he manages to use his quickness and technical skills to squeeze one past Morocco and advance through the tournament here. The Wrestling Classic.
I like the things, other than the typical show wrestling moves, I like seeing them do a little bit of actual grappling and stuff where he hooks under his arm and that. This kind of shit we see in jiu-jitsu and that, like hook under the arm and like that. Because from there you can just like lean on them and push them down to the ground or fall on them or whatever. Or you can like lock the arm and go snap it.
Or you can push their shoulders to the mat for the 3 count and win.
Yeah,
which
you
is
can
what
pin
Tito
them,
uses.
dislocate them, lock them, rock them, and sock them.
It's all about the leverage, folks. Control that leverage, and you control the fight or the match in this case.
Well, it used to be like when we used to go to like I used to do like classical jiu-jitsu, like this is like 20 years ago. I did a few years, but one of the things I remember learning is like your head connects to your neck, obviously, and the rest of your body. But when you do something like grab someone's head and go like twist, if they're not ready, you're not certainly not a fighter or something. If you grab them, you just like twist their head around. You can just like flip their whole body around and knock them on the ground just by that alone. So, but wherever the head goes, the body follows. But you can do the same thing with any limb, like Dan Severn style. We used to do that little dragon twist where you'd grab your leg and it would just lock onto your leg like a slug and just like flip your whole body around. It's like, holy shit. So good lessons. Like wherever the head or the neck goes, the rest of the body follows. Or if you have an arm or a leg, got a good grip, leverage, you yank on it, and the rest of the body, follows and goes with it. It's like good basic grappling and wrestling technique and lessons.
Grappling's the name of the game, folks.
Yeah. So moving along, we got Paul Orndorff defeated Cowboy Bob Orton by disqualification. I got figures of both these guys now and those actual outfits they're wearing on the screen.
Yeah, and this is kind of like a big deal considering where the two of them were placed on.
We had the WrestleMania and Piper and Hogan and all that, and Mr. T.
And of course, Orndorff. I've said it before on previous shows. You want to talk about someone who you could have maybe pushed instead of Hulk Hogan. Orndorff would have to get the nod. He's got everything Hogan has, and he's better. He's got a great
better
physique.
wrestling,
he's
better
got
physique,
full head of hair. Just he can do it
the
all.
The only thing Hogan has on him, I was watching something recently where I saw the two of them side by side that was later than WrestleMania. It was something later than that, and I was like, oh man, I didn't realize that he's actually he's a massive dude, but when you see next to Hogan is considerably taller, so that's. Yeah. That screen presence, and if you're sitting in an arena like way at the back, you're like, oh, that dude's bigger than the other dude. It's the same, like if it's a silhouette, you've got like Orndorff, Hogan, Andre, and that like the height and width difference. So to me, that's got to be something that plays in Vince McMahon's mind. He's like, well, this dude's bigger and this dude's more powerful, so he's my guy, you know. So I've got to think that's part of his like crazy macho, not the macho man, but Vince is the like wannabe strong macho kind of character he wants to be, but is really not. He's a fucking weasel. He's a real weasel. You know, that Orndorff gets the kind of short end of the stick in that way, even though he's a better wrestler, a better physique, and, you know, probably a better human being, I would think. I would say that about most people.
I would think.
Probably my neighbor that I hate is probably a better person than Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, we do get once again some brief glimpses of greatness here from both wrestlers, because they are two of the all-time greats, Bob Orton and Paul Orndorff. And of course, Bob is always injured arm, got the old cast on the arm as always, you know.
Oh, how long does an arm take to heal again in real life?
In real life, definitely not that long. I know I had mine off.
Maybe 2 or 3 months, but when you've got a cast on there for 9 months, I think that's called a gimmick or a work.
But you see, the thing about Cowboy Bob, you have to remember as well, you know, he's a very brave man. And even though he has an injured arm, he's going in and wrestling every night. So it's taking ages for his arm to heal, you know, so the cast has to stay on longer. He's had to get the arm recast.
That reminds me of like Bret Hart's book. There was a gimmick where Stu Hart had a broken arm, and when Bret Hart was still a kid, and you'd see him wearing on the house, and he didn't know. When he was a kid, he didn't know that it was a work and thought his dad's arm was actually broken. And he would take it off around the house, but then like the mailman would come and he'd be like, oh no, where's the cast? Put it back on because the mailman's coming to the door.
Yeah, they were keeping kayfabe to the extreme in the Hart household.
But I love that sort of shit. Like even like in your own private home, like the mailman, who knows if he even gives a shit about the wrestling? He's like the mailman's code, because it's the whole town. It's not just who's the live audience, but the whole town where you live.
Well, even you know, Junkyard Dog, we talked about him earlier, but he had done, when he got blinded in Mid-South, he went around wearing sunglasses and eye patches for ages.
Now, did he actually like? Can you tell me, like, because even when I've read different accounts, I mean, I've watched the match, but I've read different accounts of it where it was a work or a gimmick where he's like blinded for an extended period. But apparently, some of the chemical, whatever the fuck they've used, got in his eyes for real. Was that true, or is that a work?
I think that's a work. I think that he was just really, really good at convincing people that he had no sight in his eyes. He just kept to it.
There you go.
He did.
That's how good he did it.
But now we got the kid. He's going up against adorable Adrian here, and this is definitely it's a real treat of a show to watch. If you're a fan of the British Bulldogs, this is even though Davey Boy got eliminated early, it's still a treat to be able to get to see Dynamite do his thing alone and kind of progress through. We got a little bit of a longer match here than we did with the previous Dynamite match. We actually got to see him do some work and hit a few nice moves and some nice holds and reversals going on. Adorable Adrian at one point locks in what appears to be an early version of the sharpshooter in this match as well, which was pretty interesting. So, you know, before we have Bret Hart and Sting using the hold, we see Adorable Adrian kind of doing a variation of it, which is pretty cool. Of course, the trademark snap suplex of Dynamite Kid, and he's doing lots of other nice little schoolboy roll-ups and sunset flips. He's just really showcasing his dynamic athleticism here in this match in comparison to Adrian, who's more kind of a lumbering brawler.
Yeah, the roly-poly man.
The roly-poly man, but the Kid, he uses his speed and quickness to get the better of Adrian and manages to advance. He's won his quarter-final match to make his way further up the tournament.
Like Dynamite Kid's got the bit of show wrestling moves that are more, you know, more athletic, more spectacular looking, whereas Adonis has got more like the close-up brawler, grappler, wrestling moves, where if you were going to wrestle with someone for real, you wouldn't be like once you put your hands on them, you don't let them go. It's like you get them down, you stretch them Shoehart style, or you just submit them or stretch them or snap an arm or a leg or pass them out or whatever. So he's got that weight and that kind of whale blubber where if he got you down on the ground, you'd just be fucked. You're not getting up.
I think as well, you'd kind of asked earlier on about or wondered what these shows would have been like if they'd kept them up as like a yearly event.
Yeah.
I think this one thing they probably would have done was do what like they do with King of the Ring and start off the event with the quarterfinals as opposed to because we did have to sit through a
So
lot of
do
like
like on your Raw, preliminary, and then on
yeah,
the pay-per-view do your
exactly,
main. Yeah.
Do those matches on free TV and then
Yeah, that would
save
make sense.
everything from the quarterfinals onwards, then do on the pay-per-view
Yeah,
because
then you get a decent length of matches and not be kind of
yeah,
shortchanged and stuff. Because it does feel very
exactly.
experimental, this one. But I mean, experimental for WWF. I mean, if you're watching any of the Southern Territories wrestling, like 75 through 85, they pretty much perfected everything for show wrestling. Like and like, as far as length of matches and gimmicks and all that shit. Okay, so the next match we got is Randy Savage with Miss Elizabeth back in a spectacular orange glitzy glam outfit, who defeats Ricky Steamboat.
Yeah, and here we have the Savage Steamboat Classic, but it's not WrestleMania 3.
No, it's not that one.
But definitely, I'm sure anybody paying attention at the time looked at this match and thought to themselves, wow, these two have really good chemistry in the ring. We should probably find out a way to try and
Yeah.
make this match happen
No,
again.
I do have a question for you, Mark. It's quite a serious question, and not a flipping question at all. So we saw Steamboat in one of the other events where he comes out with his kid, and he's pretty much wearing the old Ryu white with a red headband from Street Fighter. Now he's in a black outfit. Does that make him evil Ryu in this match, despite being babyface
this
to the
would
character?
be Dark Ricky Steamboat,
Yeah, there we go, Dark Ricky.
Now, obviously, this match, it's in no way as memorable as the WrestleMania 3 encounter between the two, but it definitely does give us a snapshot and a decent look at the type of chemistry the two of them have together. It's a lot more of a rough and ready type of match compared to the WrestleMania 3 one. You can tell that they haven't wrestled each other as much, but also that this match is not as planned out and as choreographed as the WrestleMania 3 one, because it's a very kind of scrappy affair and it's a real struggle when they're trying to hit the moves on each other. But it's great. They show excellent chemistry with each other here, and definitely, I'm sure Vince or at least a few of the guys backstage were thinking this could be a money match in the future, and they were right.
Yeah, and they're both like athletically, they're both in like awesome condition. Not just condition, but they're both like genuinely good athletes outside of wrestling as far as how they can move and their physicality and what they can do, and that really translates into the wrestling match.
Yeah, a real gem of a match here, and once again, when you see this match kind of written down on paper, you're probably thinking, oh my God, it's going to be another 5-star banger. But, we just got a few minutes of it here, just enough to tease us.
Yeah.
But what we get is very enjoyable, it has to be said.
Yeah, it's quite enjoyable. Macho's got some of those 70s headband sort of things going on too. I'm currently reading his biography book. A brand new one came out just less than a year ago. It was brand new. It's the first time published and by some dude. Couldn't tell you his name without the book's in the car, so I can't grab it on hand because I tend to read it when I got breaks at work and that. But the author worked with Lanny Poffo, his brother, and he was sort of of two minds when he was writing the biography whether he's going to do it or not, because obviously the guy that wrote it is a good writer researcher, but you want as many first-hand sources as you can get. And so he got not only permission, but extended interviews with Lanny Poffo to do this biography. So there's a lot of really good personal stories and things that just aren't really anywhere else. Awesome book out there on, I don't know, usual places, but I'm reading at the moment, really good read. So the next match we got Junkyard Dog JYD defeated Moondog Spot.
Yeah, and this is
as if you needed to know as soon as you saw this match come up, like who's going to win this match. Come on.
And as well, like it's a total like nothing really happens in this match at all apart from a little bit of showboaty shenanigans at the start. Once they actually get it in the ring, it's really just Dog, nailing his doggy headbutts before defeating Spot. One thing though that's interesting, we got two dogs going up against each other. We got a moon dog and a junkyard dog,
And I'll tell you what, Mark, is that old Jack specific action figure I picked up last month is his exact outfit from this one here. He got the white pants, he's got the JYD, he's got the thump on there, and the little like graphics down the side of his pants. I was so happy to get that over any other version of the outfits. It's just such a classic look. And I bought a $2 chain from the hardware store and put it around his neck so I could have the chains.
It's the clash of the canines here. As
clash of the canines
up against a Moondog.
Now hang on, if it's the clash of the canines, shouldn't it be a triple threat and get K9 from Doctor Who in there?
Yeah, or get the Bulldogs in there as well. Get the other Moondogs.
There we go. Get the Bulldogs with Matilda, and then get K9 from Doctor Who. They'll like bring support managers on the sides for this match. There we go. And then you got a stew going.
Yeah, we just got a big doggy woggy powwow match on the go. Of course, we see Spot chewing on his bone before the match as well. Yeah. Great way to prepare for a professional wrestling match.
He really does look like some kind of caveman dude. Is it a beard on the bone? Something you see on the Flintstones.
Yeah, look the part that's the old Spot.
Yeah, pretty much. JYD's got his big chain necklace going on, and Ventura doing the old pointy finger. Well, I do like a good pointy finger.
Ventura ain't no fan of JYD. But he's fantastic, and we mentioned that they're there already. But Gorilla and Jesse, they do a fantastic job as always, getting us through these events with their
they're so good to listen to, man. Like you could literally take the audio from this if you're not watching, whether you're watching on TV or just listen to it as audio like on headphones and just listen to their commentary. It's so fucking good. I could listen to it any day. It's unfortunate, and a few years after this, Ventura was off. He went to do commentary on WCW for a while, but it wasn't there that long. And then Jim Ross came into WCW as well after he left Southern Wrestling in it. Went into the main WCW era stuff. And for a very brief time, we had Jim Ross and Jesse Ventura on commentary, which was another cool sort of combo. But apparently they didn't get on in real life. They weren't happy with each other. so it didn't go too well. And we got it for a very short period of time. So next match we got Tito Santana versus Paul Orndorff, which ended in a double countout.
Yeah, and this the double countout finish, I suppose it serves a couple of purposes. You don't have to have one guy beat the other, so nobody has to look weak. But also, it's going to be used as a way to give old. Is it JYD who's the beneficiary of the buy? Somebody, whoever's going to benefit from it anyway. It gives them a nice little break before they have to do it.
I remember that Macho Man does more matches than anyone else in this tournament. So
yeah,
someone else got the buy. I think you're right. I think it was JYD or something.
But it's another one of those matches where what we get is good. We just don't get an awful lot of it because of how short the match actually is.
Yeah.
And like when you think about it now, we're deep into the quarterfinals now. We're kind of flying through the matches really, but they've all been so short. Like the longer matches were probably Steamboat and Savage, and even that was like, when I say long, I mean like, what are we talking about? Maybe 6 or 7 minutes that match might have been. So we're definitely not hanging around when it comes to these matches. They're just trying to get their shit in, get what needs to be done on screen done and move on to the next match as quickly as possible. But Orndorff and Tito isn't a match I would have seen an awful lot of, so this glimpse of what they could do was actually pretty cool to see how they work together. They worked really well together, and they have a nice little roll on the outside of the ring, which leads to the double count out, which is kind of exciting as well.
I was just looking up the match card in the background because my memory gets foggy. Even though I watched this only a couple of weeks ago, and obviously I built the bloody show and put all this stuff on the screen, so you think it would help my memory. But anyhow, because the only buy in the tournament is we're coming up. The next match is going to be Hulk Hogan versus Roddy Piper, which is not part of the tournament. It's just like a kind of headliner pay-per-view type of match you would typically see on most events. So yeah, JYD gets the buy in the following match, which is when we get like Jesse Ventura complaining about them. Macho Man's done more matches than anyone else, and he gets a buy. But in between, we take a break from the tournament to get a Hulk Hogan versus Roddy Piper match. And although it says World Championship, was this a non-title belt match or not? I can't.
I think it is supposed to be for the World Championship, even though.
Oh yeah, it does say on the card heavyweight championship match, but I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if it was one of those non-title ones, because sometimes these kind of events you get like two big guys doing a non-title match. It's pretty much just trying to be like a crowd pleaser event of two of your biggest dudes at the time.
I'd probably, like, I know they're trying to make a big deal out of the showcase tournament and all that, but I probably would have placed this match as the final match on the card.
Yeah, it's funny that
the biggest match they could have done at the time.
They could have just put it at the end, which they typically do on a lot of pay-per-views. But then the kind of middle of the event, main event, is kind of made a comeback in some of the modern wrestling too, where they'll do a bunch of low-tier matches, then do their big one, and then do a bunch of matches afterwards. And it's just like, well, you had all your big pomp and circumstance and steam, but now stuff comes afterwards. It's like, well, bugger that. I'm going to go watch something on the other channel. It's like put it at the end.
This match, it's it's literally one of the biggest wrestling matches you could see for the era. You've got your top tier babyface versus your top tier heel. It's Hogan versus Piper. They've had all the
and Hogan's back in that sort of AWA white colors.
Yes, yeah, it's actually funny you should say that, because I'm pretty sure later on there's another bit of a gap when backstage Mean Gene thinks he's going to interview Paul Orndorff, but it's actually Hulk Hogan. And I think the reason he thought it was Paul Orndorff was because Hogan was wearing the white pants and he had his back turned to him. But yeah, like it's such a big match to have. We're coming off all the hype from the first WrestleMania, where of course we had Mr. T and all that other celebrity involved.
We had all the tag stuff going on, whereas this is like singles again.
And Piper, he's on top of his game. He's like world class, heel. He's just so good, so quick witted.
Yeah,
and just an excellent wrestler all around.
Definitely a bit of fighter in real life too, like amateur boxer, amateur wrestler, amateur judo guy. I mean, not to the level of your UFC dudes today, but like if you're in a fucking car park brawl and getting stabbed to death, Hot Rod's the guy you want, like saving your life, not Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, I'd say like Piper would have absolutely kicked Hulk Hogan's ass in real life if it ever came down.
Yeah, it's funny because like there's quite a bit of size and weight difference, but definitely Piper's got more of the real world skills as far as street fighting on the bloody mean streets of Canada when he was a homeless teenager, and then went into his amateur boxing and whatnot. I'm reading the second book now. The older one was the Piper book he put out, which is a lot of kind of best of Piper's, his stories and that through his Swiss cheese memory by his own admission. And the later book is by his adult children and gets more in depth into his other life. I didn't know that his son went on in his early 20s to be a bloody proper MMA fighter and all that, and that his daughter became a wrestler as well.
I also did not know this. So
they published the book. They did the research and published the book together based on, and actually traveled and interviewed like most writer researchers do. I mean, good ones if you're in America and like wrestling, went and talked to as many people in person they could who were still alive who knew Piper and that. So it's an awesome book by by Ariel Toombs and the other fellow that's the son.
So they do a DQ finish here, which protects Piper, and Piper never lost cleanly to Hulk Hogan in the WWF ever.
And that's something he was always very strongly about, which it amazes me he got away with that with Vince McMahon being such a fucking prick in real life, and not really giving a shit. It amazes me as a heel guy who was able to do that. But when you see his logic, it makes sense. It's like, why am I going to go lose to Mr. T at WrestleMania? Then no one's going to want to fucking see me next year in the next event or whatever else. And it makes sense when you follow his reasoning.
Definitely, and like if you were to even just look at the examples, like the formula at the time was the heel works his way up to Hogan's level and then loses to Hogan, and then they work their way down.
Yeah.
But if you work your way up to Hogan's level and then don't lose, that means you stay there at Hogan's level and you don't need to work your way down the card. You can just stay there getting the big money, and it leaves potential for rematches and all sorts of other stuff down the line. So Piper, he was very business smart when it came to
he was in a way like Steve Austin was, and other good like heel characters, or Jake the Snake. And it's easy to look back reading like biographies and stuff like this and looking at the history of it to think, oh man, this guy sounds like an maniacal asshole. But it's like, no, they want to put fucking money on their table, look after their family and feed their goddamn children. And if it's like, well, if you're getting taken off the cards in the events, you're making less money. So it's not just what's good business and what's good wrestling psychology, but like, how the fuck do you feed your family? And that you've made it this far and made it this far in after getting like your first, some of your early matches getting beaten up by a man who was 300 pounds and breaking your nose.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, and this match, it's another example of just like raw emotion and charisma being able to carry a match, because they don't do anything wild or complicated. It's very kind of
like
basic
Andre
stuff.
Hogan. It's like, they're both not exactly in their prime physically, although, Hogan certainly went on for a reasonable run after this and NWO and all that. But they're both kind of beat up in a sense as far as they're hitting one's hitting the roids, one's hitting the other types of chemicals and that, and being on the road and all that. So you're not expecting like a fucking lucha libre match here, but they're definitely selling the characters and the gimmicks and the emotions.
And Piper, he did have the cool factor as well. Like, even though he is mostly being booed for his dastardly deeds, there is still a significant number.
But sometimes they would cheer for him, even when they didn't want them to cheer for him.
Exactly. He was just too cool. You couldn't help but cheer for him.
I knows you since you was a wee baby.
Yeah, he's just he's a top-notch orator, Piper. He can poke them into the buildings, and he knows how to hype a feud and get interest in a match, and you can see it all pay off here because the crowd are going nuts for everything the two guys do to each other here.
One guy's still alive, and his kids seem to be a bunch of assholes who don't like him. And the other guy's passed on, and his kids absolutely love him to death, and posthumously put this other biography painfully researched out of it. Like, who was the better person?
Well, look, you don't have to. It wouldn't take too much convincing to tell me that Piper was the best
have
person.
You heard random sidebar? If we'll get back on top. Have you heard? Because I'm always listening to old Jim Cornette podcasts, like new weekly ones as well as ones from years ago. Have you heard the ones about the Hulk Hogan's surf shop run by some buddy or friend who's a complete fucking lunatic?
Yes, I have. And the name of the guy who runs the surf shop is Ron Howard.
Yeah. Not related
to the
not the famous
not
Ron Howard of Happy Days, but just some kind of lunatic. And there's like different, apparently, like the Cornette clip, they talk about these different stories from people that have been to the actual store and had bizarre experiences. The kind of experiences, have you ever been to like a comic shop and run into a real weirdo that runs a comic shop, like just like berate you with nonsense? kind of experiences. And people have gone in and gone, oh yeah, this guy was friendly and okay. And other people were like, this guy's a fucking conspiracy level maniac that like makes Jesse Ventura look like a regular dude.
Yeah, I think he's friendly if you're willing to buy something, but if you're
Yeah,
not
yeah.
willing to buy something,
You
he's
want to
not
buy
too
his bootleg, fake, authentic replica belts?
friendly. Yeah, he'll try and tell you that it's the actual belt, it's the
It's the
exact
actual
same
one
belt that Hogan.
from
Yeah,
Hogan from that match. And like, no, it's a replica. Like, just fucking tell you that we walk it. Don't lie to people and then give them bizarre conspiracy theories and shit. But yeah, the Hulk Hogan surfing shop Jim Cornette podcast stories. If you haven't heard them, like, give them the Google. There's little 5 and 10 minute clips that absolutely. I was laying awake one night and I couldn't sleep, so I was listening to more of that. And I was just laughing for like 45 minutes, like almost non-stop. My guts hurt just listening to the crazy stories. But anyhow, back to this. Here's the old Hogan and Piper.
yeah. So Piper, he loses, but he loses by disqualification. So it's not a clean win for Hogan. But of course, the championship stays around Hogan's waist, as was the plan at the time. They weren't going to take the belt off their golden
Yeah,
goose just yet.
yeah.
And
Well,
we
they're
are in
still
the
in that
middle of
prime period.
Hogan's. Yeah, we're still in the middle of Hogan's just like earth-shattering run with the belt. So nobody's going to be taking that off him for quite some time. But yeah, a
85 to
rare
90, he's a
appearance.
golden goose. Once you get to the 90s, it's very iffy. We had steroid trials, and we had Thunder in Paradise, and then the leap over to WCW, of course.
That's right. But yeah, it's a rare sighting of Hogan in his tighty whities here and his
Yeah,
white ring attire. I actually have the Hogan from this match, but I haven't opened
yeah.
it yet.
I remember when you picked that one up. For some reason, that one's like quite cheap. The one in the white outfit. Like,
Yeah, gonna have to rip them open one of these days and put them in with the rest of the
rip
troglodyte
them and grip
Ultimate
them and flip
figures.
them.
Yeah, open them and
You
then
ever had any of those
like
Coliseum
dessert.
ones they get in America? They're like exclusive ones, but on a bigger, oversized card.
I've seen them, but I've never
Yeah,
had any of them,
yeah. I've
unfortunately.
never had any. I think they're mostly like American exclusive in stores there, but which makes international shipping a son of a bitch. But they've done real nice ones of Terry Funk in the same outfit he wears earlier, where he's got the chaps and the hat, and they've got Hogan like this. Those Coliseum Classic ones are like really beautiful, good wall figures if you want to chuck them on the wall. Okay,
Yeah,
and so before we get to the next match, we got some Hulkamaniacs here in the audience. We've got their soda or whatever. I'm assuming they're not. Could be beer, could be soda. I'm not sure on their age.
yeah. That woman, she's actually a time traveling Roman Reigns bloodline fan. She's doing the bloodline finger there. She's acknowledging her tribal chief in the past.
Acknowledge. Oh my god, that acknowledged shit irritates me so much. Like, because they say it just so much on every bloody episode of Raw, and then the what's the other dude? The Solo Sikoa, and it's like, how many
Yeah.
times do you need to be fucking acknowledged? Like, Jesus.
Acknowledge me.
It's like, what is it, like the Terminator? Acknowledge me, acknowledge me. Just like your Daleks. But yes,
Powered by
repetitive.
acknowledgement.
Powered by acknowledgements. Brought to you by Acknowledgement Technologies, LLC. So the next match is Randy Savage, the Macho Man, defeated the Dynamite Kid.
Yeah, speaking of dream matches, this is definitely picking that box. And unlike
And Liz gets her third outfit of the night as well, not just Macho.
and looking ravishing as always, but you know,
But Jimmy Hart's in the same outfit. He hasn't changed. He's gone, nah, I'm sticking with me.
Yeah, he hasn't. Jimmy Hart hasn't reached his airbrushed jackets for different wrestlers phase yet. You know,
Yeah.
he hasn't put that piece of the puzzle together yet. He'll get there though in a couple of years' time. It'll be all the rage for him to do that type of thing. But yeah,
Come
we
on,
see
baby. Come on, baby.
Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Scared the shit out of my cat doing that. There you go. But yeah, you know, a dream match here. It's not like Bulldog and Steamboat earlier because it actually lasts a decent amount of time. We actually do get to see some real nice exchanges between Macho Man and the Dynamite Kid, and I can't recall at any other time seeing these two in the ring together. So it is a real treat for me getting to see this, and it's your typical crisp, fiery work from both, and it's it's longer than like I said, it's longer than the previous matches, but it's still not long enough where you're like, oh man, you definitely are just kind of almost teased with what could have been. Like if these guys had gotten, imagine these guys got like 20 minutes uninterrupted on a pay-per-view, the magic they could have made.
Yeah, I've said that on the
something
weekly.
else.
I mean, I forget the shows back then. It was all like superstars and other branded stuff, but basically it was a whole bunch of different house shows all cobbled together into different brands and networks depending on where you lived in the country. But you know, if in the modern day, like if they could have had a run like Punk and Drew of a couple of months on, you know, having some matches out to a pay-per-view or something, you know.
Yeah, we get as brief as it is, we still get to see some magic made in the squared circle here as Randy Savage goes on to defeat the Dynamite Kid. So Dynamite, he's had quite the journey tonight, you know, from the shockingly quick victory over Volkov and then advancing past him to make it all the way here to the match with Savage. He was within spitting distance of grabbing the brass ring and winning the Wrestling Classic, but you know, unfortunately, he just couldn't match up to the dastardly Macho Man, who once again used all sorts of dirty tricks throughout the match and was able to catch him with a surprise pin to beat Dynamite in the end. But definitely,
What do you think of the prison jumpsuit entourage?
Yeah, it's interesting. If these are supposed to be security, but they look like they should be behind bars themselves.
They look like Teamsters or something, but I don't know how accurate it is. Apparently, some of them are actually real cops that are just like local cops are hired as like bodyguards on the night. Well, I don't know if that's true or not, but yeah.
Gave them some orange jumpsuit style outfits.
Yeah, which is ironic if they are, because they're wearing the orange jumpsuits.
But yeah, Savage, he advances on. He's proving himself to be quite the tournament wrestler here, Savage. You know, he's given us a little glimpse into the type of greatness he's going to show later on in his career at WrestleMania 4 when he wins the big one. It is one thing I feel like
it would be a good tournament wrestler, dude. As far as he's got the conditioning athleticism to actually go the distance.
Well, look, there were definitely a couple of there's some foreshadowing of the future going on. First of all, and it's all to do with Savage. So first of all, we got our tease of Savage versus Steamboat, which is obviously going to be a feature match at WrestleMania 3, and we've also gotten a look at Savage progressing through a tournament, which is going to be a featured story of WrestleMania 4. So we are getting some foreshadowing of the of futures yet to come here at this event.
Yeah, so it feels like it's not wasted entirely where they're trying to do this. The annual Wrestling Classic didn't work out, but it's still, we get the different DNA and prototype stuff that would go on to other annual pay-per-views and other storylines and stuff. So before we get to our next match, we have the ceremonial tag match, the passing of the microphone to a whole bunch of dudes in suits looking very sheepish, staring down at the ground, who don't seem to want to be there, to give away this Wrestling Classic car.
Yeah, and this is one of those funny moments I mentioned earlier on. I think Vince thought that they were going to go straight to like the last match or the next match.
Yeah.
And then
I purposely chose that one where he's got his eyes closed and he looks real funny. I had about 10 different images where he looked normal. I'll put the one with his funny eyes like mid-expression. Like when you pause your DVD and someone's always doing a weird expression.
The best thing about this segment is just how ropey and uncoordinated it is. So
I love it. I love it because how fucking awful it is. It's so bad. It completely jars with everything that's going on in the event. It interrupts the matches. They bumble around like a pack of fucking idiots passing the microphone to one guy. And the way the camera frames it, I didn't know there was that many fucking guys in the ring until they kept passing the microphone like it was some baton at the fucking what do you call it? That used to be the British Games and Continental fucking Games or whatever it was, passing it around like a baton. It's like, well, I'm going to announce it. No, you announce it. No, you announce it. It's like 10-year-olds at a fucking pass the parcel birthday party or something. Like, I don't want this present. You take it.
And it's kind of funny because obviously you've got the Fink, you've got Tunney, and you've got Lord Alfred Hayes, who can all talk and converse with an audience.
But don't
these
let them
other
talk.
two
Get a
fucking
bunch of idiots who can't talk.
Yeah, they got these two fucking guys who are just like jittering and they're trying to read their shit off the page. And the funny thing is, each time, so one guy's like, and now it's time to announce the winner. But then they don't announce the winner. They just hand the microphone over to the next guy. And it's like,
okay, what the fuck is going on?
But, thankfully, Lord Alfred Hayes and Jack Tunney are there to save it at the very end, because it's actually, after all the fucking microphone passing and just jittery fucking blabbing, Lord Al finally
two guys maximum,
winner.
one microphone pass. That's how I would have done it, or just one person. Try that.
Yeah, Jack Tunney needed to make a presidential ruling to reduce the amount
of
people
I would have gone. Like, if I was doing this segment, if I'm like the person like directing this, I'd be like, get either the Fink or Jack Tunney. He announces it, pass it to Hayes, who says who's won the thing. That's it. Fucking done. 30 seconds.
That's all you need.
And then cut to the crowd. Woo! I won.
Like, one of the guys, I think, is from some like fucking local business, and I can't even remember who the other guy is. Like, so they're obviously like local guys that should be known. Another thing I absolutely love about this segment is that the audience just fucking unmercifully boo the guys every time they speak as well. It's like, they don't give a shit. All they came here to see was the wrestling matches. They don't give a fuck about your competition. And then they announced the guy who won the car, and he's obviously not at the show.
Yeah, he's
which is pretty funny. Yeah. So his name is just announced.
Is that
like
home watching
no
home
fanfare. Yeah, he probably didn't even like wrestling. He was probably in like his local car dealership or something and saw the competition. He's like, oh yeah, I'll enter that competition. I'll win a car off these phony baloney wrestling people. But yeah, terrible segment, but also very entertaining because of how terrible it actually is.
Yeah, entertainingly bad, and like it's just Okay, so the next match we got JYD Junkyard Dog defeated Randy Savage by countout.
And what a way to fucking end a tournament as well. You know, like, when it finally comes down to the finals, it's like, okay, we're going to have a winner. We're going to have a winner by fucking countout because we don't want to beat either guy here, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, what harm would it have been to have either guy really actually pin the other one at this point? Because you've had Savage, who's gone through all these matches. So if he did lose, he has an out in the sense that he's had to wrestle an extra match anyway.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, fuck it, why not let somebody actually beat the other guy? But no, they went for the safe count out victory, which it's kind of funny when you always hear how they announce that at the end of the show. It's like, and here is your winner, the Junkyard Dog. And it's like, yeah, by count out. You know, it's like,
your caddy boy is very interested in the winner. He looked up at the ceiling when you said that.
Yeah. He heard the word dog and he's like, where?
Yeah. What?
Yeah, this match, you nearly almost feel sorry for both guys by the time this match runs around, because the crowd are a little bit deflated. They had the big Hogan Piper match. They've had that drawn out segment where they're trying to give the car away. So it's up to these two guys.
I don't know what it really was.
Yeah, they're it's left to Junkyard and Randy to try and wake the crowd up a bit, and they do wake them up a little bit, and they have a wee bit of a back and forth. I don't think poor Junkyard's cardio is doing him too good here at this point of the match or the event. I think he just wants to go backstage, eat a couple of cheeseburgers, and do the long
he's
drive
ready
home.
for an afternoon nap, I think, by this point.
So the dog, he gets the big W. He gets to be declared the winner of the first ever annual Wrestling Classic, the first and the last, the one and only unless they decide to bring this event back under Triple H, the Junkyard Dog will forever be the only winner of the Wrestling Classic.
Yeah. Sorry, Ric Flair, even though you might be the most well-conditioned athlete of the 80s in wrestling, you didn't get to be part of this, because he could have been someone who would have been suited to a tournament style for his bloody conditioning.
Oh, indeed. And, you know, as a final event to watch the WWE Network, you know, look, I have no regrets rewatching this event. I know we were making fun of it throughout, but like we
I
were
do
saying in the
regret that I
beginning,
made you watch this as the last thing, and then the network's gone. But I mean, it was either that or you're watching like the puff piece for the Netflix thing where they're walking out going, "We're going to be on Netflix for like an hour."
well, look, I think like we spoke about at the beginning, the star power of the
Yeah, the star
show
power shines.
pulls it through. You've got star power in the ring, and you've got star power outside of the ring. Like we've got
definitely.
a great cast of announcers and managers.
Great managers.
Yeah,
Jimmy Hart was in there. Bobby Heenan's in there. Not too much, but he's in there now and then. And he was more in the kind of backstage bits in between segments and that. And then of course Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse on commentary. So you know, yeah, definitely. I definitely enjoyed it on that level. Just the amount of star power going on. And it has that feel, has that classic mid-80s feel to it of just, you know, of good WWF. Even when it's basically a bad event, it's still kind of good mid-80s WWF.
They probably, like I was saying earlier, if I were in charge of booking this stuff, I probably would have kept it as the quarterfinals, you know, starting with the quarterfinals and going from there.
Yeah, that would make more sense.
It probably wouldn't have.
And if you
probably could have put a tag match on the show. There's no tag matches.
Yeah, you could have put a tag match in there.
Singles matches.
Kind of had like Miss
Battle Royal,
Elizabeth doing a bit of a striptease mid card show.
Oh, get me excited now.
I would put, I would definitely, I would go with what your suggestions there. I would put Hogan Piper at the end as the big, like, crowd releasing end event. I would have, like, Piper, not Piper, sorry. I would have, like, Macho and Steamboat. No, definitely not Steamboat. That's a different person. Steamboat and Macho have that a bit longer. Have, like, Davey Boy matches be a bit longer. And, not have JYD's go longer, but have him, give him his moment of glory, you know.
Definitely. And once
not
again,
by fucking count out.
Another foreshadowing of things to come, though, is that we do get to see Randy Savage be the last match on a pay-per-view, which, you know, once again, there's a lot of positive nods towards Savage being a main eventer one day being shown here. So I do always like to see Randy Savage being showcased and treated well. So that's another box tick for this show.
Yeah, you don't have to tell the man who's got Macho Madness going all over on his desk. I certainly don't mind seeing more Macho in any kind of event.
Yes, that was the first and the last ever annual Wrestling Classic, brought to you in WrestleVision.
In WrestleVision.
Hopefully you all got to experience it the correct way with your WrestleVision goggles on.
Yeah, WrestleVision goggles, your WrestleVision wireless headphones, probably with noise cancellation, I would imagine, today's technologies. So when that
dubbing on the show as well. I'm pretty sure they dubbed Real American over Hogan's entrance. I'm pretty sure at the time he was actually coming out to Eye of the Tiger was his actual music at the time. And
I love in the
main
match
theme
here
of the show was actually like the Power of Love, the Back to the Future song, but that's of course dubbed over as well. It's not featured on this.
Did not know about that version. Yeah, I love when Ventura comes out here and complains like Macho Man had to do all these matches and JYD got the bye or the pass into the match. He he's on commentary, but he storms into the ring and he's got his little French beret and he's got his tie-dye shirt on and the blonde hair and looking full on 70s style hair.
Yeah, Jesse was always angling for a potential in-ring return during this era. you always thought it was a possibility. But
It's,
yeah,
it's
and
a
he's a
shame
great.
that
Yeah, sorry,
it's a
go ahead.
shame they didn't, because remember in the 90s when Sergeant Slaughter retired for a few years, or he was, he was gone, he was away after the post Iron Sheik and heel turn and all that. And then remember he came back as Commissioner Slaughter in the War Zone and Attitude Era. And he was a commissioner, but occasionally he'd get in the ring and he'd mouth off with Triple H and Shawn, and occasionally they'd smack him or he'd smack them. But he was still a solid looking dude. Like, you wouldn't want to fuck with him. So, and occasionally he would get in and he would throw someone out of a ring or slap him, or, So if Ventura was not, he could have had some more matches here, certainly, for sure, as far as still being young enough and that, not too beat up. But if he'd gone on to be more like a commissioner style role like Sergeant Slaughter did in the 90s, that would have been awesome. I would have loved, because they would have got to talk more, not just on commentary, but get in the ring and like hear and just mouth off to people and smack talk to them.
Yeah, I think with Jesse, when it came to wrestling, he burnt his bridges with a lot of promoters, including Vince McMahon.
Yeah, all the
And then, of
business with
course,
the union thing and all that.
there was the movie money, and the politics distracted him as well. So yeah, he wasn't really in a favorable position to come back to the ring. But he had his run, governor of Minnesota, and he had his time to shine on the silver screen, and Predator and the Running Man, and yeah, he's nothing to be ashamed about, Bizarre Jesse. He had
Yeah,
a great run.
it was a random door knocker canvasser then for some reason. I'm not sure why. It's like just everything. But yeah, love said old Ventura. And before he went off and done his political career, he's still a very interesting dude. There's some really cool interviews on YouTube, actually, like good classic ones talking about his career and other stuff. And then he actually made an appearance just last month or so, actually, on Raw or whatever. I don't know if it was Raw or SmackDown because of the network thing fucked up here, and I couldn't watch it, but I think that's also on YouTube. And we can look past a lot of the crazy Agent Orange conspiracy theory alien stuff. Did I talk about that? That's his business. He can believe whatever he likes. I've got hold nothing against him. I think he's awesome dude. And yeah, so it's an interesting event, and I thought it was fun. Part of the focus in getting back into looking at some of these 80s wrestling pay-per-views is to look at not just WrestleMania, but like what are some of the other big events of the era, what worked, what didn't work. Coming up the next couple of months, we'll take a look at the fucking at the title right clash of the whatever it was, like Sting and Flair and all that. And the old
Clash of the
WCW.
Champions.
Yeah, Clash of the Champions. Thank you. I knew you could get the word for me because my brain's not working properly. Yeah, I thought it was fun to take a look at some of them. I was thinking also, I'll run it by you, not in any rush, but if we go back to our old kind of thing where every month or so we'll kind of do some kind of wrestling pay-per-view, even if it's second month, whatever. Another one, AWA Super Clash 3, which was a bit of a disaster. I mean, the wrestling's okay, but nobody got paid. And it's notoriously bad in that sense that nobody got paid, including Jerry Lawler, Lawler got very pissed off. I thought that's a really interesting one to look back at in this kind of like 80s era and see all these different Vince was scooping out the talent, bought out the territories, but what else is going on as like Crockett was dying out and it switched over to Turner, and as things kind of died off, what events did we have and what were the interesting stuff? It's a very exciting, interesting time, in wrestling.
Definitely, it's a very interesting period of history to revisit it. So yeah, I would definitely be game for jumping into the AWA waters one of these days. What have we
So it'll be fun to
got lined up for
get into
next week?
those.
Do you know?
Well, it's a secret because it's unplanned, unpredictable. Now I have a kind of ad hoc topic for next week. Like I haven't built a show or nothing because we're going to do like a casual chat style, kind of like our first couple episodes. We're not so much on the graphics, but I'll run it by you. Otherwise, we've got other topics we could do. But I was thinking, now can I explain it succinctly in the way it makes sense? I was thinking like movies you've seen at the cinema, as in going out to the multiplex or twin screen or whatever, that that were good memories. Like you really enjoyed that film. Like it was awesome experience in the cinema. Like I saw Mad Max Fury Road in the cinema. As a kid, I saw Gremlins and Labyrinth in the 80s. Like, they were awesome cinema experiences. Or it was good because you saw it with a mate, or maybe you were a little bit high on drunk and saw a shit movie, but it was a really fun time and a fun day out. I was thinking that sort of thing, just like favorite cinematic experiences of things you've seen. Like, pick kind of like a top 4 or top 5 kind of each and run through that. So my one's kind of like Labyrinth, saw Mad Max Fury Road, and then for a kind of addendum, we don't have to do this, but kind of addendum like is things you have never seen in the cinema that I would love to see in the cinema. Like I've never seen a Bruce Lee movie in the cinema because they don't replay nothing here. I've never seen a Sean Connery Bond. I've seen some of the modern ones. I've never seen a Sean Connery Bond in the cinema, but that could be a kind of tagline at the end, or we could do that as a separate one. But yeah, just favorite cinema experiences where you're out and getting the big special sound, the big screen experience, out of the house.
Yep. Sounds like a plan. Count me in.
Cool.
I hope to see all you audience members there as well.
Oh, especially you, Hulk Hogan getting choked and whatever's going on there, camel clutched and whatever.
But I hope the good folks out in internet land enjoyed our look back at the Wrestling Classic. If you haven't watched it already, I don't know where you're going to find it. Check Netflix, I suppose, and keep checking until they upload.
Could give it 12 months and hopefully they'll upload the old stuff eventually, like it took them a year to do when they switched over networks here in Australia a couple of years ago. But yeah, we can do our goodbyes there, like old Adrian Adonis doing his little salute in 4 corners, kissing the ground there in the ring. And we'll come back next week and be hanging out talking about some fun movie experiences on the big screen.
And good. Well, hope to see you all next week, folks. Take care. And a happy new year to you all.
Yeah, and shout out to Bob Scott if he happens to be checking out this one, or it might be months later after the fact.
Yeah, Bob, let us know which one of the Moondogs you pinned to win that belt. Yeah. We're dying to know.
Let us know which one is the bigger idiot on the show and how much do we fuck up and get things inaccurate. How much we destroy your ears like, oh, 2 idiots talking a bunch of rubbish. No, I'm just messing around. We're going to leave you and catch you all guys next time.
Take care, folks.